Hello. This is going to be a different type of video because usually on this channel, so far, I've only made videos where I'm like, okay, I've done this thing, I've learned this thing, I've accomplished this thing, and now I will tell people what I've done and what I've achieved and what I've learned in hopes that it will help someone. This is something that I'm actively figuring out right now. So I'm going to share a lot of the lessons that I've learned recently, but I haven't figured everything out yet. And this is probably just going to be maybe like a 20 or 30 minute video of me just talking. And the reason I want to make this video is because in the past, when I went online to look up this concept of like friends or finding your tribe or creating your tribe or trying to find like-minded friends or all these things, there wasn't a lot of stuff that I could find. And I just want to give you guys a very real take of this process of meeting people, finding people that you vibe with, and then having to let people go whenever you change seasons or change goals, and the pain associated with that. I don't think a lot of people talk about the pain of that. And obviously just drop a bunch of recent lessons that I've learned along the way around this concept. So without further ado, let's jump in. Who is this video for? This video is for somebody who wants to make friends, and I'm not just talking about like friends like people you can talk to. I'm talking about friends that you vibe with, friends that understand you, friends that will put in the effort, friends that have the same goals and values as you. By the way, I have these friends. I have found people. It's just been a really long journey, and these things shift all the time whenever I change seasons. That's another thing. It's also for people who are changing seasons, which is just another way of saying you're doing this one thing and now you're doing this thing that's completely different. So this could be somebody who is moving cities. This could be someone who is changing their career or their job, and it's like really different, and your entire social circle changes, or anything like that. That is what this video is for. That is what this video is about, and who this video is for. Okay. Let me tell you a bunch of stories and then a bunch of lessons along the way. Some which are very painful. I have recently just finished running a marathon. Now, if you've never run a marathon before, it takes a long time to train for that. A year ago, I was not into running at all. I ran my first 10K, which is about like an hour, a year ago. And so it's been a year. I've run for a year, and I've joined a lot of run clubs during that time, and I've met a lot of people during that time. And now I'm changing seasons because I'm like, okay, like I kind of just want to go back into the gym and lift weights. And as I'm doing this, right, this is like, I've gone back to the gym like 3 times. And as I'm doing this, I'm starting to realize that there's a lot of people that I talk to and I just don't talk to them anymore because I don't run as often anymore. And that was really sad. In fact, it wasn't just sad, it was also like painful. And that made me realize that letting go is not something that's easy for me, and is something that I am probably going to have more lessons around, and something that's I'm probably going to learn more about throughout the rest of my life. But I was at a event, and there's a bunch of people. Imagine a picnic, a drop-in picnic where people like come and people leave as they please, and there are deep conversations sometimes. It was like that type of event. And one of the people asked me there, the host actually asked me, what was a lesson you've had to learn recently? And I said, letting go. And then she was like, can you explain more? And then I was like, I'm telling her everything I just told you right now. And I told her, I was like, in 2024, it felt like I lost a lot of people in both friendships and also dating. Like, there are some people that I have chosen to not talk to anymore, and there are some other people that have chosen to not talk to me. And I was like, going into 2025, I wanted that to not happen. But it's been several months now. I think it's been like 4 or 5. It's been 5 months now. And I've just realized that that is just not how life works. People come and go. That's just how it works. As much as I don't want to accept that fact, that is just simply how it works. And there's this book that I read, which I'll pull up right now, called Single on Purpose. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you so it's not mirrored. Redefine Everything, Single on Purpose, Find Yourself First by John Kim. And the one thing that I want to mention from this book that's relevant to this conversation is, in this book, I was introduced to the fact that friends come and go. They fade in and they fade out. And that's a healthier way of viewing this than cutting people off, which is what I hear a lot in the conversations that I have around this stuff. And I understand this because I used to do this. I used to cut people off because I used to be, I still am, very intentional with my relationships, friendships, dating, all that stuff. And we're talking about friends right now. So I'm very intentional about friends and who I choose to hang out with. And the reason why I believe this mindset is a lot healthier, having people fade in and fade out, is because it doesn't close the door on things. I had an experience once where I was talking to a friend, and the way we viewed friendships was so different that I decided it was okay for me to cut this person off and not talk to her again. That felt weird because what if, for example, in 2-3 years, you change hobbies or you change whatever, and that other person is also really into that thing? That gives you a really good opportunity to reconnect, right? Well, now I have lost that with that friend because I've decided to just cut it off. Now, of course, I can reach out and we can try to rekindle something, but it's just not the same. Do you know what I mean? Does this make sense? When you try to cut off a friend and you actually do it, it really slams the door shut. You're not even leaving the door a tiny bit open, and reopening that door that's slammed shut is so much harder than just having the door left open a little, and then it's like you just push it and it will just open. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about is friends. I believe it's a much healthier to view friendships as fading out and in rather than just cutting off friends. I also I think the only time you should cut off a friend or someone is if there is significant harm, if being around them is significantly more painful and harmful in a toxic, abusive way than not. That's the only time when you're okay, I don't want to talk to you again. The other thing that's mentioned in this book is if you ever do a friendship audit, you don't need to tell people that you're cutting people off. That's also something that I used to do, because when a friendship isn't working out, you have two options. You can either be intentional about it and talk to them about it, or you can just let it fade. I used to do the first. If you want to do the first, you can do that. You might just learn what I'm about to tell you now, though, which is for the first, it takes a lot of energy to do. It takes a lot of energy to think about what you're going to say, to word it in a way where it won't hurt feelings and will incite productive conversation, where I've made mistakes in this area, and if you're new to this, you probably will as well, where I've sent things, they're emotionally charged, the other person doesn't feel great about that, they send things back, they're emotionally charged. That's not a good foundation to have a productive conversations, by the way, because both of you are emotional. So feelings get hurt, people get triggered, and then friendships end. So what I've learned throughout this process is the first way, being intentional and having a conversation about it, is a really good way to kind of test the friendship. But it's not worth doing because it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy unless that person's worth it. So if you're going to do the first thing, I'd ask you, is this person worth putting that much time and energy into to try to figure out why this friendship isn't working and to try to be stronger, basically, to grow it and like have it be stronger. The second one is what I've opted to more these days, which is instead of having these deep, conflicting, sometimes painful conversations, is just to move away from the friendship and have it naturally fade. So back to the story. Actually, I'm going to change the story because I think I drove that point home. TLDR, letting go is hard. Don't cut people off. Let the friendship fade. And if you are going to, figure out how to word this. If a friendship isn't working out for you, you get to decide whether or not you want to have that conversation or if you just want to move on. Like, accept it and move on. The second thing I want to talk about is I was at my barber. I have deep conversations with my barber as well. And we were talking about this concept. Like this whole like friends letting go thing, right? Pretty much everything I'm telling you right now. And there's this analogy that we came up with, which I really like. And this goes back into the title of this video, the concept of this video, which is building your tribe. Finding people that you really vibe with and then regularly interacting with those people. And the analogy that we came up with was seats in your house. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? I think a more practical, real way to think about that is you have a limited number of seats in your house. And who you decide to give those seats to is really important. So, for me, there's probably like 5. Like the number is ridiculously small. And one of those seats is taken up by yourself. It better be taken up by yourself because it's like, you gotta be there. Don't just give all your time and energy to everyone and not yourself. That's not a sustainable model to like live life. And this is painfully speaking from experience. So, the reason I learned that there are a very small number of seats, right? I've arbitrarily chosen 5 right now because it's easy to visualize. Like imagine a movie theater and all the seats are gone except 5. There's just 5 in the front row. And those are the amount of people that you have seats for in your life. I'm not saying like, don't go out and try to meet people and make friends and whatever. I'm saying these are the types of people that you regularly interact with on a day-to-day basis. So how I learned that there were so little seats is I was not having a good time. There have been periods in my life where I was not having a good time. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I was not having a good time. And I went through my contacts list and I was like, who can I talk to about this? And I realized that there was a lot of people that I actually can't talk to about this. And I'm like, why? What's going on? I've met so many people recently, yet I feel like I can't talk to these people about this. And it's because a lot of the relationships that I had, I felt were one-sided. And this is like another life lesson I've learned from all this. I'm extroverted. I like to meet new people. I like to connect with people. I think that's fun. But sometimes it can feel like you're putting in all the effort. You're starting all the conversations. You're initiating everything. you are the one planning all the hangouts. There's a bunch of energy you're putting in that you're just not getting back. And that's when I realized that I was like, damn, there's not a lot of people I can talk to right now when shit gets real. Do you know what I mean? So that's when I realized, I was like, oh, okay. The number of seats I have in my house are actually a lot smaller than I think, because there's a lot of one-sided relationships that I am entertaining right now that I should not be putting energy into because the energy has not been returned. Not saying these are bad people. I'm just saying I just need to adjust my expectations to meet where the relationship is currently at, right? There's a billion reasons why somebody is not giving you back what you put in. I've learned, because I've done this, I've had a period in my life where I think a lot about this, and I'm like, what are the reasons? Can I change? Blah, 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 blah. If they want to, they would. That's all I'm going to say. If they want to, they would, and we just cannot change people. So it's just simply better, more efficient, easier on the good old noggin to just accept it for what it is and move on. That's just the painful reality of life. And it is painful. It's painful to realize, like, oh, I've had a lot of these good conversations with these people in person and they're not returning my energy, and I have to let them go, and I have to give up their seat so that somebody who is more aligned with me, who vibes better, who has the same goals, can sit in that seat. And this is something that I also realized recently, because there is light and there is hope at the end of the tunnel if this is something that you are going through in terms of feeling like you've lost, quote unquote, all your friends, even though that's not reality. What's actually happened is your friendships are just fading because you're going through a transition in life. If you feel this way, and it's painful, and I understand, I get it, I genuinely get it. It sucks, bro. Just know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because what I've realized recently is, in doing all of this, because I have done this, I have intentionally been like, okay, like these are people that I put a lot of energy into. I'm just going to hold back a bit and see what happens. And when I do that, there's just a lot less. Everything goes quiet. And so these seats have been freed up. And I've noticed that I've met some really interesting people recently that have filled those seats. And so when I was having this conversation with my barber, it made me realize that a lot of the people 3 weeks ago that I looked at in my contacts list, I no longer talk to anymore. And I don't miss them, because there are other people in my life that are more aligned with myself and what I want to do that I can talk to. And the one question that I'll leave here, because I'm telling you all of this because I wish somebody told me this sooner. I would encourage you to go through it, because I think there's a difference between me telling you this and you actually living through it. But anyways, this is all just stuff I wish I knew earlier. These are just that and lessons. The one question that I've asked myself to really keep myself in check when it comes to this stuff, besides, does this person return my energy? That's probably the first one. And you will feel it and you will know. And if you are used to giving, when someone gives back, you will feel it and you will know. The other question is, does this person get me closer or further away from my goals? It's as simple as that. It's a pretty logical question to ask. So a lot of the people that I've interacted with in the past, the answer to that would be no. They don't. It's a yes/no question. I phrased it just now as like, you can even hear the delulu in how I phrased it just now, because I was like, yes, no, or neutral. And I was like, okay, I put the neutral option there because if it's neutral, I guess that gives me hope that it could be a yes. But it's not a yes, no, or neutral question. It's literally just a yes, no question. It's, does this person get you closer to your goals? Yes or no? And if it's a no, I'm sure you can find someone where it would be a yes. Because I have experienced that recently, and it is genuinely so much nicer to be around people that not only you can be fully yourself around, but you guys are all talking about the same shit because they understand. And I think this is such a core part of building a tribe or building a friend group, is not just having people you can do things with, not having people you can be silly with, not just having people who you can be yourself around and make your jokes around and be unhinged and cringe and all that stuff, but also having people that are going through the same things because they have the same goals as you, because they understand and they get it and they face the same struggles and they can tell you what they've learned, and so that you can also tell them what you've learned. So for example, when I was running and when I was training for the marathon, I was around people with the same goal, because people I was running with in run clubs, or I've met, or I've run long runs with one off, like multiple hours on end, by the way, and we would just have a conversation while running for multiple hours on end, and that was a vibe. These people all had the same goal. They, at the end of the day, just wanted to be fit. Like, that's it, right? And they were into running. And some people were also into races. Like, some people were also training for a marathon. And so, like, there's just so much more efficiency in that, because you can learn so much more from each other. And I think that's one of the things that's lost in today's society. Hot take. We're getting into hot takes here. It's like 21 minutes into the video, so I'm fine dishing out some hot takes right now. We've lost that. It's so, in the West at least, it's so individualistic. Everybody's just doing things by themselves. I'm like, wouldn't it be great if you could find people that were also doing the same shit, so that not only do you feel like you're not the only one doing this in the world, but you can learn from them and they can learn from you. So that question is very important. And if you can find people that do all the things I said earlier and also share the same goals, they will help you achieve your goals faster, because you can learn from them and they can learn from you. And that is what I've learned. I have experienced this firsthand. It has been great. And every single time I think about this analogy whenever I meet someone new. And so I wanted to pass this off to you guys. Hopefully it will help if anyone else is in the situation. And I guess this video is also a note to say, bro, you're not alone. It fucking sucks. Letting go of people fucking sucks. Changing seasons fucking sucks. But it's necessary. It is literally just necessary. If you have things you want to achieve in life and you've achieved them and your goals change, and now there are other things you want to achieve in life, it is simply just necessary to change the people that you're around in order to suit you and to help you get closer to your goals. That is just how life works. That is just reality. And I understand if you're like, no, like, I get it. But as we get older, the social cost of making new friends, in terms of time, in terms of energy, in terms of, it basically just boils down to time and energy, but the energy that you put into hanging out and all that stuff, it just becomes higher. The cost becomes higher. It becomes more expensive to try to make friends as you get older, as an adult. And this is just what I've learned. This is just real. This is reality. This is my experience. This is what I've learned. And if you only got 5 seats, if you want those 5 seats to be filled up with high quality people and have this sense of a tribe or community, make sure your energy is returned. Make sure these people also have the same goals and help you with your goals. That's it. I will stop there. That's it for the video. This is a new format. This is, as I said in the beginning of the video, I don't usually do these types of videos because I like to talk about things when I've achieved something or after I've, after a significant time has gone by, when I'm like, okay, like I've learned this thing, I've learned these lessons, I've had some time to think about it, and I think I am comfortable sharing this with someone because I actually have full formulated thoughts around this, but this is something that I'm currently in the process of, and I've currently learned a lot of things around. So if you like this format and you like this vibe of, hi, this is where I'm at in my life, these are all the things that I've learned recently, and I just want to tell you what they are, so that you can learn from them too and relate, then let me know down in the comments below. As always, I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.